So talking of shit, the last what 6 months of 2022,
Yeah.
right? Is that the best way to phrase it? I don't know.
Yeah, we was talking about this right before we started, weren't we? So I'll give a bit of background story because it's interesting. It's for me it was a hard time, and so it's not difficult to talk about because I've accepted it and I've moved on. But it still hurts,
very
it still
fresh as well.
stings. But the first half of 2022, I was killing it. Absolutely, like insane amounts of money per month that somebody like me from my background had never, you never thought you'd be able to sort of do it. And that reaffirmed everything that I'd done up until that point was working, and I'd made it, and it was all gravy. I literally lived the best life for those 6 months. And then it was either May or June, we had the collapse of Terra Luna. So if you don't follow crypto, I'm sure it was May, there's a stable coin called UST, which was algorithmically pegged. So there was nothing actually backing it, really, or very little backing it. And that's death spiraled basically to now zero. And I got caught in that in an unfortunate way, which makes it sting all the more. So a few days before the collapse happened, I had about £30,000, maybe just a little bit more, on a network called Phantom. And there was rumours going around that there was liquidity issues. So there was supposedly this trader who'd done his arse and he was about to get liquidated. Therefore, the network was going to sort of explode. You won't be able to pull your funds off because everyone will be like, everyone's funds will be going to secure the network, and a whole raft of things that would happen, and people would all sort of like have a bank run. And so I panicked and thought, tell you what, whilst there's rumours, I'm going to take my funds off and I'm going to put it somewhere safe.
Yeah.
Whilst this blows over. So I took it off, I bridged it over to Terra and put it into Anchor to earn 20% APY. Just for a few days, few weeks, I thought we'll keep it there for now. And 3 or 4 days later, the crash happened. And I was actually sat in my little trading floor, the office that I had. And I mean, my boys, there's me, Chris and Jake, they both saw just the distraughtness in my face, if that's even a word, watching it drop. And because this was mine and Loz's money, it wasn't just mine, that made it all the worse. And I just saw it drop, and then our 30 odd K was now 25, and then it went back up a little bit as people's like sort of thought, oh, buy the dip, it's going to go back up. And then within 48 hours, it was like a couple of grand. And so we took the hit. We said, okay, we'll move on. We're rock solid. Like, something like that, it definitely shook us.
Loz is your partner?
Yeah, my partner, yeah. It definitely shook us, but we are so rock solid that we don't get at each other. We sort of sit down and go, okay, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to get out of this? So we sort of, we kind of just moved on from it. We were like, it is what it is. There's nothing that we can do. We can't go and ask for a refund, so it is what it is. But that massively affected my trading. So I was having bi-weekly payouts pretty much for the first half of 2022 from FTMO. I've been funded with FTMO since like May 2021. Okay. I've still got that account now. But then since like May 2022 up until like December, I probably had like one payout. I literally my head was not in the game. So that affected me for a couple of months, and I slowly climbed out of drawdown and started coming back, and I was getting back into it, and I was thinking, okay, we're there. And then October, I think, we got broken into. And I remember telling you this at the Viper meetup that we had in December. We were broken into at about 9:45 on the night. So we were still awake. At this point, I've got a little girl who was about 1.5 years old, and Loz was maybe a little bit older than 1.5. And Loz was 38 weeks pregnant, so she was ready to pop at any moment.
Yeah.
And we were in bed. I was still awake. Loz had just fell asleep, and we heard this noise, and it was sort of like a little slight banging.
A tester.
And I thought, I don't know what that is. We've got a Rottweiler, and she was lay at the bottom of the bed. And as soon as there's a noise like that, she's straight up thinking, what on earth is? So she was like, we call it scoffing. She's like, not barking, but she's like, who's there, sort of.
Yeah.
And so I shot up, looked out the window, and I saw a car, and I said, it's all right, there's a car. They've obviously just shut the car door. And then there was like the biggest bang you've ever heard. Like it was so loud, I can't even explain. And at that point, like we both looked at each other and we just knew straight away. And I was like, there's somebody in the house. Like there's someone here. And so she shot out of bed. Nala, my dog, she shot off the bed. I opened the landing, and obviously it was pitch black. And I thought, I'm naked. I can't fight when I'm naked, you know. Like I needed to get some clothes on, and so I whipped some clothes on real quick, and I ran out onto the landing. And as I stood there, this bloke was on my stairs, like 5 to 10 feet away from us. So there was me, Lars, and Nala. And Nala didn't have a collar on or anything, and so she was just stood next to me. And I thought, I really hope that she doesn't go, because if she goes, I'll go, and I don't know how many there are, you know. And so we sort of stood there, and he kind of like looked up at us, which was like, it was horrible at the time because he had a balaclava on and a hat, so it was just the eyes. And then Nala went down a step, and she sort of, I grabbed the like
back
neck,
of it, yeah.
And this bloke, he just looked at us and he went, nah, forget it. And he ran out. And so the car keys were by me. He was after our car, I think. And so I just grabbed the car keys, stuck them in my pocket, grabbed Nala. We went into my little girl's room, and I just dragged the chest of drawers in front of the door. And I thought, if you want anything, feel free, go for it. My trading setup's downstairs, my laptop, my TV, have what you want. As long as like Laz and my little girl were okay, and Nala obviously, as long as they're okay, that's all I care about.